This is a presentation on a dance unit by Ashley Craig and Sean Smith. Our building dances unit will use the teaching, personal, and social responsibility / sports education models to cover creative dance, line dances, and folk / partner dances. The unit will end with a culminating activity of a dance show in the school auditorium, which will demonstrate and cover different concepts and skills learned throughout the unit by the students. Staff and parents will be invited to sit in as the audience for the show. Our unit goals include the following. Students should be able to perform movements correctly and on time with the beat of a song / piece of music, both alone and together with partners. Number 2, students are going to learn the difference between balancing and moving around and the forces that go with those, both alone and in a group. Number 3, students will demonstrate proper etiquette when working with a partner on a close partner dance as well as working in a larger group. And number 4, students will learn and practice new activities and skills that can be practiced on a regular basis at home to improve cardiovascular and muscular endurance / strength. These goals are more broad and general, but also cover each domain that we want to focus on throughout the unit. The following are our NASP standards that cover all 4 domains of learning. Our unit goals, mass frameworks, and daily objectives are derived from these national standards. There's an emphasis on the effective domain in this unit, which is why we included 2 standards in the effective domain. Our mass frameworks have direct relation to national standards, but also include additional goals that can be applied directly to daily objectives. For instance, our cognitive standard here now includes applying reading and counting music to a rhythm, rather than just applying Newton's laws. This is our 20-day block plan, which begins with week 1. This unit will begin with an explanation of class rules and expected behaviors. Also, over the first 3 days, we will be covering creative dance with students exploring locomotor movements, balances, and emotional expression. A fitness pre-assessment will be done on day 1, and an effective pre-assessment will be done on day 3. Our daily objectives align with these assessments. For example, on day 3, our objective is that students will be able to problem solve to create at least one dance in a small group that expresses a specific emotion designated to them in a poem or story. On days 4 and 5, the class will be learning rhythm, which will consist of counting music, using lummy sticks, and performing the bunny hop and tinikling. A cognitive pre-assessment will be done on day 4, and a psychomotor assessment will be done on day 5. Also, we will send home a fitness calendar during this week, as cardiovascular endurance and muscular endurance will be emphasized in this unit, so it will be expected that students improve this at home. The fitness pre-assessment on day 1 is a formative, informal self-assessment where students are simply saying yes or no as to whether they met the goal of the assessment. Afterwards, students will write a new fitness goal to work on throughout the semester using their fitness calendar as seen here. Day 3 includes an effective pre-assessment that's formative, informal, and a peer assessment. Students will assess the peers' willingness to work together during the making of a creative dance. The cognitive assessment on day 4 is a formative, formal, and a teacher assessment which tests student knowledge of counting music and also tests why knowing how to count music in rhythm is important. Lastly, there is a summative formative assessment for the psychomotor domain on day 5 to test movement to rhythm. The following video is used for students performing the bunny hop to assess rhythm.
Jump forward, back, forward, forward, forward. Right, right, left, left, forward, back, forward. Right, right,
Here are the results of the students that participated in this assessment. The students were scored on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the highest. Their 2 scores were added up and matched in the total at the end.
The second week's block plan will be centered around line dances. We'll start off the week on day 6, covering the basics of what a line dance is and teaching a few common line dances. The Macarena, the chicken dance, and the hokey pokey will all be taught this day, as well as a fun twist on the hokey pokey that will incorporate some aspects of fitness. Throughout the week, we will teach more line dances like the cha-cha slide, the electric slide, the sunflower dance, the boot scoot and boogie, and the hora. This week's objectives cover all 4 domains, but a major point we are emphasizing is the psychomotor standard of being able to move to a beat. Our Day 7 and Day 9 objectives that students will be able to implement both the shuffle and the grapevine in rhythm into the electric slide, and being able to move together in a group doing the correct steps will lead them to master the task. We only have one assessment this week, planned for Friday, Day 10. This assessment is for the psychomotor domain. The teacher will be assessing formally using GPAI. Each student will choose 2 of the dances that we learned this week to be assessed on. Like last week, the teacher will record the students performing and refer to the video to assess their ability to perform, not only the correct steps, but also to perform to the beat. The following video is what we completed this assessment based off of.
Elise, get in!
The scores of this assessment are based off of those performances. It is important to emphasize effort to the students before the assessment and explain that if they make a mistake that they should keep going. We did not do this and unfortunately had one student end up with a 0 score for not completing the task.
Week 3 of the block plan involves folk and partner dancing. Throughout the week, students will practice square dance, waltz, tango, and swing. During this week, we will also incorporate our cognitive standard and test students on Newton's laws. This will be done through a take-home assessment first, which according to London Eval from our textbook on page 65, creates more time for assessing students. We can also reference Bloom's taxonomy from page 113 in the same textbook, as students will practice recognition of Newton's laws and recall the information in a second assessment on day 15 that will be done using Plicker's technology. There will also be an exit ticket of a self-effective assessment which aligns with the daily objective, which is students will be able to demonstrate respectful behavior when dancing with a partner by not complaining or saying anything upsetting to anyone else in the class. Lastly, there will be a psychomotor assessment on the last day of the week, just like the previous 2 weeks. The effective assessment done this week is a formative, informal self-assessment, and the psychomotor assessment is summative, formal, and a teacher assessment, which again involves filming groups of students to check for missteps in the dance. We do not have video of this assessment, but it would be very similar to the filming done in the first 2 weeks. The first cognitive take-home quiz is a formative, formal teacher assessment, while the Plickers quiz is a summative, formal teacher assessment, asking students to recall knowledge and checking for complete understanding and application of these laws to dance.
Our 4th and final week of the unit will be spent preparing for our final culminating activity. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, our culminating activity for this unit is a dance show. We learned from Lund and Viel's book in Chapter 2 about the importance of a culminating activity. It gives the students something fun and exciting to look forward to and keep in mind while learning throughout the unit. This event also helps set specific end goals for our unit. In Chapter 3, we learned about backwards design, where you start from the ending activity and unit goals and create your unit's plan to meet those specific goals. This following letter will be sent home inviting the parents to come to the show. Our activity is based off the sport education model. This model provides students with a chance to completely involve themselves in the unit because of the responsibilities they are assigned. This all creates excitement for the last activity. The students will be assigned as either the team's reporter, motivator, choreographer, coach, or equipment manager. Although they have specific roles, all students are expected to contribute in creating the dance routine. The first day this week will be used to begin the sport education portion of the unit. Students will split into groups and take a role for their team. We will also be giving a formative, effective teacher assessment. This will be our PE metrics test. We ask situational questions to get the students thinking about how they will react if certain situations come up in their group this week. The teachers will also be doing an informal summative assessment for the affective domain on Wednesday. This will be simply observing each group and scoring them on a 1 to 5 point scale of whether or not they are using the effective behaviors that are expected. Throughout the week, the plan is to let the students have complete creative control of creating their dances. On Thursday, day 19, students will perform a rehearsal run in which the teacher will administer a summative assessment for the psychomotor domain. The assessment will be of their ability to incorporate one of each type of dance they learned, line, folk, or partner, in their routine and stay together as a group on the beat with the music. Once this final assessment is done, we will take all of the scores from each assessment and split them to the standard they apply to. Lund and Eval showed us in Chapter 13 to weigh your grades by multiplying the score by the percentage that the standard is being counted for. This will create a fair score based on how we have prioritized each standard. In this unit, we decided to have our psychomotor standard account for 40% of the grade, our cognitive standard for 20%, our fitness standard for 10%, and our affective standards for 15% each.